ministers. That's their ministry, is to grow the church up, not for them to do all of the work. We got to understand that, okay? And then he goes on and some more things. I'll teach on Hebrews 4 sometime, maybe in more detail. Now, Exodus 19, 5 and 6. Exodus 19, 5 and 6. It says here, God was talking through Moses to the Israelites, if you will obey my voice, and if you will keep my covenant. Remember those two things, because he still requires this. Obey my voice, keep my covenant, then you shall be my own possession among all the nations of the world. Oh, it was a great promise to these people. The earth is mine, and I will appoint you as my own special possession among all the nations. You say, well, why did he pick them? I don't know. Ask him. That's one of those purposes of God that we just well leave in his hands. But he picked them, okay? That's his business. We just obey. Now, you shall, if you do these things, you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Did you hear that? If you will obey me, if you will walk in my ways, says, you shall be to me, to the Lord. There we go again, a priest to my God. That's what Jesus said. A kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Now the people agreed. And then we see that later they just let it drop. They just quit being the people of God. In fact, they were not the people of God very often. We read the history in the Old Testament. It was a continuous series of ups and downs. And I got my reasons for that, and I may get into them before the message is over. But it says they eventually refused their position as priests. They just became a herd. I really believe that. They just became a herd wandering through the desert, grumbling and wanting to go back to Egypt, disobeying the leadership, afraid to cross into the promised land, so every one of them over the age of 20 died. And it had something to do with this. They didn't hear his voice. They didn't keep the covenant. Okay? This is before they left, after they left, later on in the land. I mean, this is just representative of the whole picture of what happened. And the churches had the same history. We were repeating the same mistakes. Don't point your finger at Israelites for wandering around from our place of wandering if we're not very careful. Now, here's one of the saddest scriptures in the Old Testament. I think it's one of the saddest I've ever read. It says, the more they called, this is in Exodus, the more they called, and I'm talking about idols here, got 3 minutes. The more the idols called, it says, the more Israel chased after the idols. The idols called. You've had idols called to you. It happens all the time. Idols call us 24/7 if we're not careful. Feed me, carry me, buy me, love me. On it goes. Now here's what God said. It was so sad. He says, my people had rather go anywhere but to me. Did you hear that? My people had rather go anywhere but to me. You ever felt that way before? Your children reject you, or your spouse rejects you, or your friends reject you. They seem to want to do everything but spend time with you when you want to be with them. Just think of the great heart of God with the people he made, the people he chose, the people he invited to have a special place, had rather go anywhere but to be with him. And I'm telling you, we're guilty of it now. I know we are. Church is guilty of this. We don't see it as chasing after idols. We don't call it chasing idols. I mean, that's what heathen people do. An idol is anything that replaces God on the throne of our heart. Did you hear that? An idol is anything that replaces God as Lord on the throne of our heart. It may be your family. It may be your job. It may be your bank account. It may be selfishness. It may be fear, lots of things, but he's no longer Lord. You've got this thing that you cling to, this thing that you want, this thing you chased after. And I've felt the effects in my life too. I know what I'm talking about. God just says, come to me. That's the only way out of this trap. Come to him. Repent, come back. Worldliness is probably the biggest idol, and we misunderstand that sometimes. It's not going out and just doing bad things. It's just being worldly. Worldliness, guys, is more dangerous than a rattlesnake, and we should know that. Okay. We should know that. Worldliness, John said, if you love the world, the love of God cannot be in you. Jesus said the same thing. You cannot love mammon and God at the same time. You will love one and hate the other, or you will cling to one and despise the other. Did you hear that? You can't do both. A lot of the American church, and a lot of people that think they can get away with that. God is the same God he was with the Israelites, same God he is with the church. And I think in many ways we have forsaken him and not come to him and become priests to minister first to him. He has a heart to be ministered to. And then all other ministry to us and one another can flow from that. Well, we got off to a start on this priesthood. We will be back on it next week, okay? Till then, God bless you richly.